Too early to talk about next week's showdown against the Eagles?
I don't want to do anything to poke the bear.
Okay.
Jerry did say he didn't want to talk about the Eagles because he's learned his lesson.
I don't believe what you just said.
So
He didn't want to poke the bear.
he didn't want to poke the bear, is what he said.
I always say that, you know. You see me and a bear in a fight, pour honey on me. So he can poke it. It's part of it. It's part of the National Football League. Whether we talk or not, we know what's ahead of us.
The city of not-so-brotherly love turns extra hostile when the Dallas Cowboys come to town. It's Lincoln Financial Field in Week 9 of the NFL season, where 8 of the last 9 NFC titles have been won by the Cowboys and the Eagles. And whoever wins tonight will take another giant step in the right direction to another title to bring home in 2023. Welcome in to Cowboys Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort. We are live from the Star in Frisco, leading you up to kickoff between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Alongside Isaiah Stanback and Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. We've got plenty to go over the next hour because it's a massive rivalry for this Dallas Cowboys team. It's always different when the Cowboys and the Eagles match up against each other, but what makes this rivalry so special?
You just don't like them. You know what I'm saying? Usually if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you don't like the Philadelphia Eagles and vice versa. Listen up, y'all. This is an NFC East matchup. This is to determine whoever's going to be in the lead in terms of this division right now. Right now, Philadelphia Eagles have a game. They are 7-1. Okay, Dallas is 5-2. All right, if they lose this ball game, they go down 2.5 games. If they win a ball game, they're only half a game back. It's about to get real in the field, y'all. We're going to find out today.
I mean, when people throw batteries at you, when they got a jail in their own dungeon down at the bottom of the place, they're greasy folks with greasy Philadelphia cheesesteaks. We ain't never liked these people back from Buddy Ryan and my coach Jimmy played. We ain't like them with Coach Landry. Hey, man, this is going to be a great game, and this is going to make the NFC East what it is.
Yeah, and the Cowboys have had some recent success against the Philadelphia Eagles. It really has been a rivalry that these two have controlled in the division. Let's take a look at the last 5 meetings between these two squads, and let's start in 2020, where Andy Dalton had his best game in relief of Dak Prescott, 377 passing yards to lead Dallas to a win. Then in 2021, fans were finally treated to Dak Prescott against Jalen Hurts head-to-head, thinking it would become a part of the norm. We haven't actually seen those two face each other since this matchup that was won by Dak and the Cowboys 41-21. Later in the year, Dallas got the sweep against Philadelphia. Their one win in their last 4 meetings in Philadelphia. They put up 51 points in the final week of the regular season to end the Eagles' tenure and to go into the playoffs, but the Eagles would get revenge in their first meeting of 2022. Jalen Hurts over Cooper Rush, who of course was filling in for an injured Dak Prescott, but when Dak returned healthy, Dallas was back on top. They would outduel Gardner Minshew 40-34, and then of course both teams making the playoff push. Dallas being bounced in the divisional round, Philadelphia going to the Super Bowl after winning the NFC, and that brings us to this afternoon. The first meeting between Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, and here's exactly what Dak has done on the road, what Jalen Hurts has done at home. Only the second all-time meeting between these two sides. Who has the advantage, Isaiah Stanback?
I'm going to go ahead and say, unfortunately, I'm going to say Jalen Hurts has an advantage because when you look at the statistics, okay, the one statistic that is not on that board is the Dallas Cowboys are only scoring 21.5 points whenever they are on the road. So being that that's the case, being that the Philadelphia Eagles are 9-0 over their last 9 home games, I'm going to have to give the edge to Philly in this particular one.
I'm going to give it to the Cowboys. I mean, and not because of Mahomes, but because of the way Dak has played the last 2 games. When I see Dak playing with instinct and we've got our run game back intact, not through Tony Pollard, but through him, when he runs with instincts and with to move around to get the ball to open receivers like CeeDee Lamb, that is why I think the Dallas Cowboys have a slight edge today.
And you see the numbers down there at the bottom. 7 touchdowns, no turnovers in his 5 road games at Philadelphia. Dak has played well on the road in Philly. He talked about that earlier in the week as well. We'll hear that in a second. But Isaiah, does it make you feel any better the fact that Jalen Hurts has been struggling with the turnover bug this year? 8 interceptions he's just one away from tying his career high.
No, you're absolutely right. And I believe that he's responsible for, 12 turnovers in all this year, and that he is struggling, right? And I don't think he's physically as capable as he once was. I think he's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now that they might not be reporting, but I'm just saying that he's not doing great. Also, you factor in the fact that they have a new offensive coordinator, and they're still trying to figure things out. Under pressure, Jalen Hurts has been struggling, only completing 53% of his passes. When under duress, Dak Prescott, well, he's on the flip side of that at 71. So Dak's doing his thing, and Jalen's hurting a little bit.
I tell you, like, it's right here, man, what a difference a year make. You see this guy, he came on the scene last year, he did everything he needed to do, fresh offensive line, making plays, running with the OPRs or RPOs or whatever it is. But you know what? Now teams have had a year to look at this guy, along with Brian Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, trying to get us settled down there. Yes, we can get out there.
It's a different 3 yards in a cloud of dust than what Nate Newton was used to back in the 90s and playing up front. It's not necessarily tough it out. It's more so a cerebral game. And Jalen Hurts is the key cog in that offense. We'll talk more about the RPO and how to defend it later in the show. But let's hear from Dak Prescott. Going on the road is never easy in the NFL, but it's certainly not easy when you go into an environment like Lincoln Financial Field. Here's what he had to say to the media and the challenge that Philadelphia presents.
But yeah, it's a lot of excitement. Makes the game better, obviously. It's a matchup we look forward to it every year, and I'm sure they do as well. And it'll be a great one. Simple as that.
Does it take on added meaning because they're a Super Bowl contender? You're playing on the road for the first time since you played the 49ers in that kind of role.
It's got enough meaning in the sense of who they are, them being division, having the success that they've had. Over the past couple of years, being a great team, being great on offense and defense, and which makes them obviously a Super Bowl contender. But yeah, this rival has enough. Even when teams, I guess these two teams aren't playing this well, this game is still always one people look forward to. I damn sure do, especially playing in Philly. It's a great one. It's a great matchup.
What is it about Philly that you like playing there so much?
It's just a good atmosphere for football, honestly. I guess you can say having grown up in the SEC, a lot of different venues and stadiums that just you can feel it the time you get near the stadium, eat, sleep, breathe the game of football, the fans' excitement, the atmosphere, the close games, the energy. When you walk into the Philadelphia Stadium, it's no different. It feels like some of those old Saturday nights. Fans are going to get loud. You got to make sure your communication is top notch. And then, and then it's fun always getting a win up there.
Lots of confidence from Dak Prescott as he makes another trip to Philadelphia. First time that he's played in Philadelphia in a couple of years against this Eagles team that, of course, has the best record in football. Dallas on the road since the beginning of the 2022 season, and even 6-6. Let's go on the road ourselves and check in for the first time with Nick Eatman out at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick, first off, did you get to the stadium in one piece? It looks like you're okay here. I know it's a hostile crowd outside. Are you good to go for this one?
I was able to get in here. I don't know exactly what you said. It's getting loud in here. Did you ask if I was getting in there safely? Because,
yeah.
I mean,
I just want to make sure
you're good. It can get treacherous sometimes. It's been a while since we've had eggs thrown at us. But no, I mean, everything was pretty good. I mean, it's Philly. When I walked around today, with Philly, I wasn't repping the Cowboys star like I probably should have. But, yeah, walked around a little bit. But you could tell these Philly fans outside the stadium and inside the stadium, they are ready for this one.
What's the offensive line situation look like for this Cowboys team? Of course, Tyron Smith questionable, Chuma Edoga questionable, both at left tackle. Do you expect Tyron Smith to go, and is he full go if he does play?
I don't know if he's going to be full go for the rest of his career, if we're just being honest about it. I mean, he's always seems like he's going to have something. But that's what's the thing about Tyron. I do think he's going to play. I think he's going to start at left tackle. He's active for this game. And he practiced some on Saturday. That was kind of the telling sign that Mike McCarthy said, let's see what he does on Saturday. And he was there. I have a good feeling that he was out there practicing because he's here, he's active, and he's ready to go. So, he's always going to have some stuff banged up a little bit. But, the best thing about Tyron is that when he is out there and he's active and he plays pretty well, and they're going to need him here in this game.
Based off of what you've seen the last couple weeks when he hasn't been available, what's your confidence level in guys like Chuma Edoga and Awesome Richards behind Tyron Smith to fill in that void whenever he's unavailable or if he does go down in the middle of the game?
I think that the key is, and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys out here. I think the both teams are starting to come onto the field here, but I think the important thing is to get all of those guys ready to go. Get Awesome ready, get Edoga ready, because they knew what the contract that they gave for Tyron, that it was going to be incentive-based, week to week. And when you know that going in, you know that you got to get your backups ready to play.
Who needs to have their best game for the Cowboys to come out on top against Philadelphia?
I think that the guys that need to play the best for this team, it comes down to the secondary. The secondary has to play well. We know what A.J. Brown's done. We know what Devontae Smith can do. And Deron Bland's had a great season so far. Stephon Gilmore, those guys. Jordan Lewis, this is going to be a big matchup for these cornerbacks. They're going to have to play as well as they can possibly play in this game.
Now, I will say, before we let you go, you are the biggest fan of the Rocky movie series of anybody that I've ever met in my entire life. You finally made the trip to the Rocky Steps in Philadelphia. How was it? Did it live up to the expectation?
I really thought that it was a lot. I thought it was going to be like 100 steps. I thought just the whole time was like, wow, it's way up there. And I'm like, this is it, but it's a movie and all that. It was cool. Not that I could have run 100 or anything like that, but it really was cool to see it. And, you saw some of the pictures, I'm a huge fan of Rocky. This is what makes, any hatred towards Philly not be 100%. Just 1% because of a fictional character in Rocky. That's the thing I love the most about Philly. And that's it.
That's really about it. I'm going to phrase it as you conquered Philadelphia's famed steps. So that means the Cowboys can conquer Philadelphia on the field tonight in Lincoln Financial Field. That's how I'm going to set it up for you. Nick, thanks so much. We'll check in with you here in a couple moments. There he is on the sideline at Lincoln Financial Field. This is a special rivalry. It always has been. Cowboys, Eagles, there's a specific hatred reserved for these two fan bases for each of these organizations. With more on that, let's hear for the first time with our team reporter, Nicole Hutchison.
Well, Kyle, there is decades of history within this rivalry, history that's been filled with lots of emotion, especially heading into this game today. The Cowboys have a chance to prove that they belong on the field with the NFC's elite after failing that first test against the 49ers in early October. I spoke with a couple of guys in the locker room this week, old and new to this rivalry, and they had one message to me, that's that they are ready to go. When you think of NFL rivalries, the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles instantly come to mind. Known for its physicality,
pressure and slam down,
crafty plays, and lots of tension.
We don't earn a chance to come out here and represent who the we is.
But still a mutual respect for what each franchise has accomplished.
Got the long-standing organizations that have been in this league and a big part of the fabric of how this league has grown. I love the rivalries.
The Cowboys are 73-55 against the Eagles, dating back to the 1960s, and the dominance has grown in recent years as the Cowboys have taken 4 of the last 5.
Heck of a play by J-Ron Curse.
But Week 9's matchup seems to have a little more juice to it than normal.
Jerry did say he didn't want to talk about the Eagles because he's learned his lesson. So
He didn't want to poke the bear.
I always say that, you see me and a bear in a fight, pour honey on me.
The Cowboys head out to Lincoln Financial Field looking for a chance to ace their midterm exam, the 7-1 Eagles. Another road test, an area the Cowboys haven't had much success in lately. Their 4 losses have been road games, and in Philly, with those fans, it won't be easy.
What makes Philadelphia a unique place to play?
Just friendly people.
But it's something about the Eagles that gets Prescott in that mode. Dak's won 8 of the 11 games he's played against the Eagles, throwing for 2,757 yards and 19 touchdowns. But head-to-head against Jalen Hurts, he's just 1-0. This Cowboys team couldn't have picked a better time to click. They're 5-2 in the season, and this offense has found its groove. For them, it'll be about making plays and
being composed, because they're going to have their plays. They're going to have the ball a couple times. They got playmakers on both sides of the ball just as well as we do. So going into the game, it's going to be a heavyweight match.
As expected, the last time the Cowboys played in Philly, they had to rally back from a 17-point deficit. But guys that are familiar with this rivalry have put that to bed and are ready to go for Sunday afternoon.
It's always a great challenge, but at the end of the day, they got to face us too.
We're bringing everything. I mean, each week is personal. Obviously, this week is no different.
You gotta love the confidence these guys feel heading into this game, but we'll see if they can get the job done. But for now, I'm gonna send it right back to you, Kyle.
Very much, Nicole, and I will say, Nicole has been here for just a couple of months, and if she can understand just how big this rivalry is, that means on a national scale, this is one of the biggest rivalries you could ever have in the NFL. And here's a man who's played in those rivalries before, Nate Newton. And Nate, is there a bigger rivalry at this point across the National Football League than what we've seen with Dallas and Philly?
Green Bay, Chicago, no. Steelers, Raiders, no. Cowboys, 49ers, no. This is big. This is what the world has been waiting on, man. This is what the NFL world has been waiting on. This is a big, humongous game for the Dallas Cowboys and for those hated Eagle fans. I mean, we can be one in whatever, and they still gonna hate us. So this is the biggest game ever.
We've seen that a couple years in past where neither team was very good. But here's the thing, both teams are very good at the moment, and these two teams have a chance to make a playoff push. Why right now is this so special for Philadelphia? And going back to your playing days, why was it these two teams that just never really got along?
Because, to be honest with you, we weren't very good when I got here, and it was a Buddy Ryan era, and it was Randall Cunningham, and these guys hated us. We had Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, we had Reggie White we had to deal with, and these guys were dirty, they were nasty. Not Reggie White, bless his soul, not him, he's a preacher, but these guys were tough, they were mean, and Coach Ryan just kept it stirred up, and then Jimmy come into the fold, and he kept it stirred up. So this thing really built from that point on, and it's been ugly ever since. I mean, I still don't eat Philly cheesesteaks. No, I'm not gonna lie, I do. But yeah,
you'll indulge from time to time, I guess. From Nate Newton himself, this is a massive rivalry. It's 63 years of beating up on each other, 155 all-time meetings. Here's the players for the Cowboys that will not be partaking in that meeting for this Dallas franchise. Trey Lance, the emergency third quarterback. Noah Igbenogany, Eric Scott, Deuce Vaughn, the third running back, inactive for the Cowboys. Wide receiver Jalen Brooks, the rookie, and then Viliami Fehoko, edge rusher. Notice here, and we heard it from Nick Eatman, no Tyron Smith, no Chuma Edoga on the active list. Both are ready to go. How big is that up front for this Cowboys team to have both of them at least available when needed?
You know what? I'm finna say Mike Solari we trust, man. He got these guys ready to go. We got Tyron Smith. We got Chuma Edoga ready to go. And we hopefully, between those two guys, we can get through this game because we need to start building continuity. One of these guys got to step forward. And from this game on, we all hope that guy, whoever it is that finishes his game, start from the rest of the season.
Tell me about the impact Tyler Smith can have on this team.
Tyler Smith is a beast, man. This young man is...
Excuse me, Tyron Smith. Oh. I said Tyler. I meant Tyron.
Well, what he is a technician. He's a little bit older now. He's not that guy we saw 4 or 5 years ago. He's a little bit older, but he's wiser. And so he'll be going against Sweat, and he has 5.5 sacks. So we need a guy that's wily, that's a veteran, and a guy that can work well with Tyler Smith. He's still a beast, so, hey, we're going to rock and roll with that.
You got both guys on the left side of that offensive line, and you're going to need that against this pass rush. Tell me about the Eagles and what they present. Hassan Reddick, he's been fantastic this year. Josh Sweat's had a good year, but it's even the interior of this defensive line for the Eagles that really sets the tone.
Oh, man, you got Jordan Davis. He's got 2.5 sacks. You got Jalen Cook. Jalen Carter, he has 3 sacks. And then you got the old wily veteran, Fletcher Cox. You know, he has no sacks, but he has plenty of pressure and plenty of understanding of how big this game is. And make no mistake, our centers and guards have to play very well this game right here. That gives our tackles a chance to run these guys around the horn. We have to play well as offensive line.
Is this the best front seven Dallas has seen this season?
without a doubt. I mean, they practice all summer against us, probably the second best, but now they face the best. Yeah.
How much can that play a factor into the fact that they've seen somebody that at least stands up to it in practice?
Leon Lett, Charles Haley, Russell Maryland, Tony Tolbert. I practice against the #1 defense. It makes the game so much easier. You're going to have your different chances, different times of adversity, but when you play against great players, #1 type players like that, it makes the game so much easier.
And I asked this question to Nick Eatman. I want to ask the same one to you. Which player for this Dallas Cowboys team has to have their best game of the season today?
Our center. Our center is going to face 2 #1 picks from the Georgia Bulldogs and another guy from Mississippi. The SEC is coming at him. Our center has to play well. If he plays well, we got him by 1.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, making a little prediction here. I like that. Now, Tyler Biadasz, he comes from the Big Ten. He can hold his own at Wisconsin.
Hold his own, yeah.
I mean, he can hold his own. It will be a challenge for Tyler Biadasz on the interior because, like you said, best interior defensive line they've seen all year, best front seven they've seen all year. Maybe this offense can scheme up ways to get these guys a little extra time, maybe help the offensive line out, and continue building on the 2 weeks that they've had against the LA teams, the Chargers in Week 6 and then the Rams in Week 8. With more on the scheme and what the offense has been doing in the right direction, here's Cowboys beat writer Nick Harris with a little Nick at Night.
Going into the bye week, it was clear that there was just something missing on the offensive side of the ball. It wasn't like the offense was incapable or even bad. It's just that it was all right. It could drive down the field, utilize multiple weapons, and find long, continued success over the course of a drive. But it would also stall in the red zone, fail to establish a running game, and see long stretches of 3 and outs at critical points. But the bye week came at a perfect time as the Cowboys offense got an opportunity to look in the mirror and find the missing element, which ended up being utilizing pre-snap motion. Dallas came out of the bye and used motion on a season-high 18 plays after using it on average of just under 6 times a game before the bye week. The motion allowed for guys like Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb to find open windows in zone coverage, as well as isolate man coverage with their assignment trailing the respective motion. What did it allow? A career day for CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott's best game of the season through the air, throwing for 304 yards. However, is it something that is foolproof and can work week in and week out?
You know, we definitely have shifts and motions that we use, but it was something in this game plan that we felt really good about that we wanted to use. But each week's different, you know, and it depends on the opponent that you're playing. So, you know, again, it's one of those things as we get into our prep for Philly, we'll take a look and see what fits and what doesn't.
Will it work against every team? Definitely not. There's some truth in that from Schottenheimer. Take Philadelphia today, for example, whose defense halted one of the hotter offenses to start a season in NFL history when they held Miami to just 17 points against a group that utilizes the most motion of any team in the NFL. But against secondaries that the Cowboys can take advantage of an extra step against and extra diagnosing from Dak Prescott pre-snap without post-snap disguising, there is a big opportunity to find some success. The only difference between me making this statement this week versus last week is that now the proof is in the pudding. You see offensive motion in Week 8, you see offensive success in Week 8, 1 for 1. Where does it go from here? Back to you, Kyle.
I love it, Nick Harris. I mean, outlining things as only Nick can, and he said it best. The proof is in the pudding. It's been put on film. You can have success with this offense. Has it built your confidence enough going into a matchup like this?
I'm going to say I've gained confidence, but I'm going to say that what they're about to face is completely different than what they've faced over the last 2 home games, or last 2 games. Okay, the Chargers and the Rams, okay, both victories against the LA teams. They run primarily cover 4. That is not what you're going to see against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles defense is more along the lines of the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. I hate to bring up bad memories, but those 2 teams primarily play man-to-man coverage. That's exactly what they're going to see today. Dak has opportunity for redemption.
I just think Dak will play much better. He's shown us over the last few weeks that he's absorbed this West Coast, Texas Coast offense, and now he's put a little bit of what he likes to do, and that's move around in the pocket and possibly get us a few first downs. I am very confident they're moving in the right direction.
Isaiah, you were really a primarily mobile quarterback back in your day. How much can using your legs as a quarterback help open things up? And we've seen it more over these last 2 weeks. A little bit against the Chargers, a little bit more against the Rams. Can you expect that again from Dak Prescott today?
I hope so. I mean, I just talked about how cover 4 was primarily the defense that he's faced over the last 2 games. And the reason why he was able to utilize his legs because all the guys in the secondary were backed off, right? So there's only 3 linebackers there, 3 linebacker level guys that are playing all across the field, 53.5 yards. And Dak had plenty of opportunities. Versus man-to-man coverage, what he's going to see today, it's going to be more along those same lines, okay? If his receivers are working his way down the field, there's only going to be somebody left for him, one guy possibly left for him, and that's if they're doing a QB spy. So if you can utilize your legs, you can put a lot of stress on the defense and really force them into the zone, and if they go to a zone, now guess what? Now your running game will start picking up as well.
I agree with you 100%. Ain't much I can add. It's just when we, and I think we're going to talk about this dude pretty soon. It's going to be about CeeDee Lamb breaking free and opening everything up.
And opening things up as well from a motion standpoint, too. Not every team can have success with motion, but it seems like it benefits this Cowboys offense quite often. And a lot of times, CeeDee Lamb is the man in motion, kind of getting things rolling. Do you like that element and that added factor into this offense?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't just like it. And the reason why is because if you want to free up your guys, our defensive coordinators get paid a heck of a lot of money to be able to decipher exactly what you're doing and then find a way to stop it. So if you just line up, you're making their job completely way too easy. So what happens when you put guys in motion is you're able to have declarations of coverages. You're able to decipher from the quarterback and the receiver standpoint, is this man or is this zone coverage? It gives me information. Also, when I'm in motion, what else do you do? Well, if they're playing man-to-man coverage like you're going to see tonight, they have to back up. They cannot stay pressed up on you. They have to give space because now they have to decide who's going to take what man, and that also gives you information. So motions, shifts, condensed sets, all those things give you information pre-snap so that post-snap you can make the right decision.
Yeah, you got to find a way to decipher it beforehand. It's just an added wrinkle. Yep. That's all it is. It's a little bit different all the way through for a defense because then it keeps you balanced. It keeps you in the back of the mind saying, okay, this could be motion, this could be eyewash, and it's just an extra thing to think about. We'll see just how much Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, and Dak Prescott utilize that against the Eagles. But one thing they have to utilize is CeeDee Lamb. He's been trending in the right direction, so much so that the Playmaker has taken notice. Here's what Michael Irvin said earlier in the week when visiting the Star about what CeeDee Lamb could become.
I love what they've done the last few games. Certainly the last game, I think he had 28 to about 25 outside the inside. You know what I mean? It makes it more difficult for them to put a hand on him. It's hard for a number one receiver to just play in the slot because all eyes are on him all the time. So you're going to make sure some of those zones going to be limited. They may be zone coverages, but they're going to be three guys leaning towards him. So his zone, my area is here, but if CeeDee's over there, now I'm going to have my area a little closer to him, which I'm going to try because I know you're trying to get him the ball. But now I put him outside. It just starts messing with everything, and he has that ability. That's the one thing I said when we first got him. I said he has the ability to be the best 88 out of all 88s because none of us played both inside and out. None of us did. He does.
I love what Mike just said. He has a chance to be the greatest 88 because of the versatility. He just has a skill set that not everybody possesses whenever you make it to the NFL, and he's shown ever since asking for the football a little bit more following that Week 5 loss against San Francisco. He has been the guy for this offense. How important is it for Dallas to get CeeDee Lamb going early?
He's your number one playmaker. Aside from the guy that's in the backfield, he is your number one playmaker. So you have to find a way not only to get him involved just for his confidence level to be high, but also from the standpoint of the mojo, right? You hear about this mojo moment all the time in training camp. You got to get the mojo going. And when your players around you, the supporting cast, sees the number one guy riding high and continue to do the little snotty nose, that's when everybody starts picking it up.
I tell you what, you saw that 0 in interceptions. That means that him and Dak are on the same page. You see that 80% completion rate. That means that they're on the same page. But more importantly, they're telling you that this guy, when throwing to him, big plays happen.
I want to see a Nate Newton versus Isaiah Stanback snotty nose competition. Whoever can do it the best way, I think, would win the prize. But I think getting CeeDee Lamb involved early is the number one priority for this offense. But you could possibly say a number two priority is finding Brandon Cooks. He's found the end zone in each of the last 2 games. Michael Gallup has been quiet as well. Which one of these 2 guys can have the most success against the Eagles?
I think Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks is a better route runner, and versus man-to-man coverage, that's where you're going to need to have that, right? You're going to need to utilize his ability to separate at the top of the route and create that separation. Michael Gallup has struggled in that regard. I think Michael Gallup's more of a zone guy. He can make the contested catches, but versus man-to-man coverage, I foresee him having a little bit of trouble getting off the line of scrimmage. B. Cooks definitely has that quickness, that shiftiness, and the speed to be able to run in good routes.
This is a game where you don't take chances. Brandon Cook is your better receiver at this point, but like Isaiah said, he's a better route runner. He can do it coming off the line or over the top, and we need to take it deep so we can get CeeDee Lamb underneath. We need guys that are going to catch the ball consistently. Right now, Gallup is too inconsistent at doing that.
Nate, where can Brandon Cooks be utilized the best in a matchup like this going up against the Philly defense?
I think, and you can check with Isaiah, I think bringing him in motion and then dragging him deep across the field, just a fly route down the field just to take the top off of it, just things like that right there. You know, don't mess around in the slot, put him outside, let him run them outside routes, dragging across the field and taking it deep.
No, I'm in total agreement with you. I don't like Brandon Cooks just being isolated on the outside. He's not a big enough receiver to just isolate him on the outside. He kind of gets lost. When you bring him down in motion and send him across the formation, he'll be able to start making plays like you've seen him do over the past few games, or like you talked about Turpin do when he had his touchdown.
Yeah.
Clear things out. Either he's going to be a big play down the field with him, or you open things up for your number one, and that's CeeDee Lamb.
Brandon Cooks has not had a 100-yard receiving game. In fact, his season high, just 49 receiving yards. It hasn't been good, at least statistically, for Brandon Cooks. We'll see if he can get open today. Jake Ferguson has been getting open. He had a touchdown in his most recent matchup. What has Jake Ferguson shown you in year number 2?
That he's able to create separation at the top of his route. And that's what I needed to see out of him. It's not about just boxing out, okay? This is not the Shaquille O'Neal post game. I need him to be able to get to the top of his route, be able to snap that thing off, use his little chicken wing, okay, and create some separation so that he can catch these balls, get contested catches. But he's also starting to make the plays in the red zone. That's what he struggled with in the first handful of games. There was plenty of opportunities there. They were dropping touchdowns, but now he's taking full advantage.
He wasn't dropping nothing. What? He wasn't throwing my boy the ball. This the first game he just had a wet ball. Come on, man. This dude can block. He will chicken fight you to death on the offensive line. He will wham. This man text Dak when he had the bad game. He texts Dak, I'm your man. I'm with you. Forget about that boy down there down deep south of Houston, boy. I'm your man. Jay Ferg, do your thing, baby. Do your thing. Yeah.
I wish we had a camera on you during this moment. I wish we could take down that B-roll because Nate, I don't know if I've ever seen Nate so animated over a specific player than what we've seen right this second with Jake Ferguson. By the way, Ferguson, at least one reception of over 15 yards down the field in the last 5 games.
How you like those?
He's been moving.
I like it.
He's been moving, and you can't deny what Jake Ferguson has been. Let's see exactly what type of weapons the Eagles have in store as well. We just talked about a lot of the Dallas weaponry. Here's what the Eagles have flying high in their offensive scheme. A.J. Brown. Boy, has he been fantastic this year. Devontae Smith, former Heisman Trophy winner in that passing game as well. And then Dallas Goedert, we'll talk more about their tight end here as well. Which one of these Eagles weapons is more dangerous whenever they face the Dallas defense?
A.J. Brown. And the reason why A.J. Brown is because he's bigger, he's more physical, he's fast. Oh, and by the way, his last 9 games, he's had 125 yards, at least 125 yards in each of those contests. So you better know where that dude's at. You better get somebody on him. And then when you put somebody on him, put somebody over the top of him as well.
Wow. Wow. A.J. Brown is a beast.
He's good.
Yes, Devontae Smith. I mean, he makes it with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert just have a cakewalk. And he's just that bad. I mean, have nothing to add or take away.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic. The only wide receiver since week 6 that has more receiving yards per game than A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb.
Oh.
Yeah. The only one that has more than A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb.
That's a good fun fact.
Since week 6. How about that?
I like that.
Yeah, you like that? Sprinkle it in there. I think A.J. Brown is as good as anybody in the NFL right now, and you can see that with what he's done, stacking performances on top of performances. How do you scheme against him, though, if you're Dan Quinn?
You know, you double him. I mean, straight up. I know you put somebody over the top of him, and you run somebody and put their hands on him at the line of scrimmage. I understand that he's physical, but you want to get him worrying about the physical, right? Get him at the line of scrimmage, put your hands on him, get him in a tussle, get him talking, and then you roll a safety over the top of him. When you're able to do that, then you're able to isolate your guys. You could put Curse on Goddard. You could put, Deron Bland on Devontae Smith or anybody else that they want to run out there, but you have to stop their running game in the middle and then go out there and roll coverage to him. I don't care if everybody else has ISOs. I feel good about those one-on-one matchups.
A.J. Brown, man, I watched this guy personally because, I watch Philadelphia because they're in the East. This guy, he beats it all. You just have to be consistent and don't give up that big downfield play. If you let him catch things in front of you and tackle him now, you have a better chance. But don't play the word game with him. Don't play the word game and don't think you're going to stop him. Just slow him down, man, and make these other guys beat us.
Did you say DaRon Bland, Isaiah?
I did.
You said, as in NFL leader in interceptions since the beginning of the 2022 season, DaRon Bland?
You mean like 3 pick six, DaRon Bland?
Yeah,
that guy.
4 on the season, or 4 picks, but 3 pick sixes.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nicole Hutchinson had a chance to sit down with him earlier in the week. Nicole, what was special about sitting down with DaRon Bland? And, he's been fantastic this season. What did he have to say?
Well, Kyle, we talked about how the younger guys have been the engine to this defensive unit. We talked about Marquise Bell last week. Well, we've got to spotlight DaRon Bland. He just became the first and only Cowboys player to record 3 pick sixes in a season. I caught up with him earlier this week just to catch up on his record-breaking performance in Week 8, his jump from year one to year 2, and preview the Eagles matchup today.
That's one of my goals, biggest goals this year, just to stack on from that last year. Coming in, it definitely felt like I was like, all right, I'm a rookie. You know, I'm trying to figure things out. And then as the season was going on, I had teammates telling me, you're not a rookie no more. You're like, you got to start stepping up into stuff. So
it's Philly week. Last year, you got a chance to be a part of that game, had 1 interception in that game. How much are you looking forward to carrying over this dominance?
It's definitely going to be fun. Got a bigger matchup this year. Get to guard A.J. Brown this year, so it's going to be a fun one.
Talk about A.J. Brown. How difficult will it be for you and a lot of the other guys to slow a guy like that down?
He's on a hot streak right now, so 100-yard games, past 6 games, so that's not easy to get. So it's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be a tough challenge.
That team is second in the NFL in turnovers, and I believe Jalen's actually first in throwing 8 interceptions. How many opportunities, I guess, is that for this secondary to go out there and take?
You just gotta take it one play at a time. Can't go out there and try to chase the play. You're gonna end up getting beat, but there's gonna be some opportunities probably.
What have you seen on film from a guy like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith?
There goes those guys that want to get the ball, the guys that can make catches, guys who got some speed. So you got to be on that technique. So
how much would a win on Sunday mean out in Philly?
We great. We didn't get the win last time out there, so if we get it this time, we're gonna be on a high horse a little bit.
An humble and quiet guy off the field, but a straight dog on the field. We'll see how he matchups today with A.J. Brown, but that'll do it for me. Kyle, I'm going to send it right back to you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Back here with Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. Let's outline this. It's the Cowboys defense versus this Philadelphia offense. And, both of these teams really rely on this unit as a whole, and they will rely on playmakers out of this unit. 17 points per game allowed by the Cowboys, but whenever they've lost games this year, they've given up at least 28 points. These numbers skewed by some big blowouts early in the season. Who has the advantage out of these two units?
You know what? I'm going to go with, actually this time around, I'm going with Dallas. And the reason why I'm going with Dallas is because Dallas is they're number 1 in the league in terms of pressure. Right? And we know one fact about the Philadelphia Eagles right now, where they stand at Jalen Hurts. He's not doing very well with pressure. So I'll take the number 1 leading pressure defense in the league any day versus one of the worst quarterbacks in the league under pressure.
One stat we didn't see was the rushing. And the Cowboys against teams that they have lost to have at least given up 150 yards rushing. That cannot happen today. We have to keep them up about 110, 120, somewhere around there. No big plays of over 15. And I think the Cowboys will come out ahead.
Hey, and the good thing about that is the fact that Dallas has slowed the run game in each of the last 2 weeks, or last 2 games, I should say, for the Cowboys. Against the Chargers, they held the Bolts to just 53 yards rushing, including Austin Eckler, who was completely shut down. Then you've got the Rams, held the Rams to just 92 yards on the ground. Now, Los Angeles and both the Chargers and the Rams aren't necessarily the ground attack that they're going to see today, because Philly is different in terms of what they bring from a ground game, and it starts with DeAndre Swift, 571 yards on the season, those 3 touchdowns. Then Jalen Hurts, who leads all quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns, 280 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year, and that's just on the ground. Why is this ground attack so effective from Philadelphia?
Because you have to be concerned with so many other things off of the run. You talk about Dallas versus some of these other teams whenever they're facing, you talk about the Ecklers of the world. Okay, he's one of the best running backs in the league, scored the most touchdowns, but they shut him down. Well, it's because those ways in which they run is usually just downhill or straight at your face. Dallas does a great job of negating teams from being able to do that. The time where Dallas struggles is teams that are able to run RPO, right, or run pass options. Teams that are running zone reads, teams like Arizona where they had Dobbs that you had to worry about Moore, and you had to worry about Dobbs, and you had to worry about the pass and a bootleg and a sprint out, because now all of a sudden you can't just be aggressive. You can't just come downhill. You have to stop your feet and decide, okay, who's going where are my responsibilities? You got that over there? Okay, you got that, good. I'll take care of this now. And it's hard just to do your job. You want to do somebody else's because there's so many things going across your face.
And another thing, their defense don't give up a lot of points, and they don't get too far behind, so they never give up on the run with that great offensive line that they have. And going along with what Isaiah said, that is your biggest problem right there, because we like to get ahead and we like to blitz folks and put pressure on folks, but they are not going to let us get but so far ahead before they just start pounding.
And what does DeAndre Swift add into that? Because it's not just Jalen Hurts, and it's not just DeAndre Swift. It's the merging of the two that makes them so dangerous.
Well, I mean, you have to respect him, right? I mean, if he gets the rock, he's small, he's shifty, he's strong, he's powerful, right? And then you talk about the offensive line that they have, behind Kelsey. He's able to dip his head in there, and before you know it, this dude's 5 yards down the field, and they'll take that with a cloud of dust and like nobody's business. So you have to respect that, but also you can't fully commit, right? Just because Swift is dangerous, if you start honing in on him and start saying, hey, linebackers crash the hole, take away the A and the B gaps, we're going to be perfectly fine, then guess what? You've probably lost containment, and now Jalen Hurts is able to get out on the edge, utilize his legs, or get the pass off.
Alignment and assignment, because Swift is averaging 4.9 yards a carry. So that's why you just can't not pay attention to him. So if you do sell out, you got to look out for Hurts, man. And this ghost knee thing, man. Come on, man. I ain't saying hit him on his knee, but shake him a little bit. Shake a leg on the dude, stanky or something. You know what I'm saying?
Get physical, right?
Yeah.
Make it tough on him, right? Yeah. That's exactly what, that's just old school Nate. That is old school Nate. I love it. I really do. I think it's great. Now, there's Micah Parsons that's going to have to not just run after the ball, but think about it a little bit. And that's what Philly's going to try and do. Here's what Micah Parsons had to say earlier in the week on the challenge at hand and what makes Philly's RPO special compared to the rest of the league.
I mean, RPO, I think every team does RPO. I just think the players make the difference in RPO. Every team doesn't have a quarterback that runs like Jalen Hurts. Every team doesn't have a wide receiver like A.J. Brown and another receiver named Devontae Smith. So, it's more the players than it is the actual scheme. So no.
You have to be more aware of the edges and the perimeter with him and not letting him out.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's any mobile quarterback. I mean, you look at who we played. Justin Herbert was running a lot. I mean, Daniel Jones was running a lot in the first half when we played him. You always got to be conscious, but the really good ones and with the really dynamic weapons, they want to extend the play. They don't want it to be quick because that's living in our world. They want to be able to, make the play go longer so that way they could make bigger plays. They're a big splash team.
So let's learn a little bit more about the RPO. We just heard Micah Parsons outline just the challenge it is for the Philadelphia Eagles, giving this to the Dallas defense, and Isaiah Stanback is going to outline it as we take you back to school. There's a lot to learn about the RPO. It's been in the league for a couple years, not necessarily the nuance and as unique as it once was. There are a lot of teams that run styles like this. How do you contain it if you're Dan Quinn?
Well, if you go back and listen to what Micah Parsons said this week, he said everybody runs the RPO, but everybody can't run it as effectively as the Philadelphia Eagles because it comes down to personnel. And the first person that you have to be concerned about is who? Mr. Jalen Hurts. How do you stop this? Well, I don't think that you really stop the RPO, but you can slow down the RPO. And the first thing you have to do is what? Number one, have gap discipline. If you take care of the gap discipline, then you ensure that you, first of all, take away the ability to be able to hand the ball off to DeAndre Swift because that's number one concern. if you're also gap disciplined, you can negate the ability for Mr. Jalen Hurts to get outside the pocket and run the ball with the be able to pull the option on the actual read option, okay? So gap discipline is absolutely is integral. You have to have these guys up front taking care of things in the inside and be able to contain the outside.
Now, with gap discipline, who is under more pressure? Is it the interior defensive line, the edge rushers, or the linebackers to fill those gaps?
I need big Jonathan Hankins, Osa Odighizuwa. I need both of you guys to get penetration because versus an RPO, the one thing that they like to do is have guys going all across the way trying to confuse you. If you have big fellas in the middle that blow up that inside offensive lineman, the center and the guard, they cannot get to what they really want to do. They can't even read because guess what? You're in the backfield.
Yeah, there's a lot of different muddying that can happen up front in that front seven if the big guys in the middle do their job. All right, what's next?
The second one is they got some big receivers out there, so you have to go up there and get physical with the receivers. Go out there and be physical with these big fellas. A.J. Brown. Okay, who else you got out there, Kyle?
Well, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert.
Those guys, yeah, those guys out there. Anyways, go up there and bring the physicality.
You can't just throw those away. They're both really good receivers.
Hey, don't let A.J. Brown bring it to you. You take it to him. Don't be the nail, be the hammer, okay? So go out there, put your hands on him. You have 5 yards. They give you 5 yards in the rule book to go out there and throw him around a little bit. You have to do so because also in the RPO, the run pass option, he has the ability to run screens. He has the ability to run routes. And if you allow for them to get off the ball without you getting your hands on them, they're going to pay for it. So make sure you use your E-Honda, get your Street Fighter up at the line of scrimmage, and disrupt their ability to get off the line of scrimmage cleanly.
And Barry Church, if he were here, of course, he wasn't able to make it today, feeling sick. Feel better, Barry Church. But I know he's watching at home, and he's saying, get physical. He loves the press at the line of scrimmage and make those guys get off of their original timing. And there's one final key, though, to get it done.
Let me see if I can channel my inner Barry. You got to go out there, and you got to punish Jalen Hurts, baby. And the reason why you have to punish Jalen Hurts is because of the fact this dude does not like pressure. This year against the pressure, this dude has 6 touchdowns. That's cool, okay. But he has 5 interceptions. I believe he has 12 turnovers this year. He's fumbled the ball a lot. So go out there and hit him in his chest. He's only completing 53 of his passes whenever you actually put some pressure on him. So when you talk about pressure, that does not necessarily mean that you have to come in the form of a blitz. That means getting in the backfield, disrupting what's going on in terms of the handoff to DeAndre Swift. And then when he wants to get out the pocket, have Micah Parsons, D-Law, anybody else that wants to join the party, go out there and make things difficult for him. Just don't allow for him to have clean looks. There's a rumor out there saying that he's not as physically able as he once was. So you might want to go out there and continue to make things difficult.
A little banged up. They've always said pressure makes diamonds, and that could be the way the Cowboys have a diamond and a shiny performance against the Philadelphia Eagles. A little bit of back to school on how to defend the RPO. Philadelphia is going to have to defend the Dallas run game, though, and the weapon that they have in the backfield with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was asked this week, where's the home run ability? Where has it been? Why hasn't it shown up yet? And he said, you know what? It's coming because he's going to start manifesting the big playability again.
I mean, we're not taking anything from anybody. You know, they're known for their defense, you know, their interior, their big guys up front. But, you know, we look at it like we're looking forward to that battle, and, you know, we're ready for it.
How important is it for you guys to get this win against them and then get the next win when you look at how close this division is?
I mean, it's huge. Just getting the next win, you know, it's huge for the momentum. And just it's huge for us in division play, just getting this win over them.
To see CeeDee kind of get the game that he did last week, how anxious are you to get one of those games going for yourself?
Man, that was big for CeeDee. You know, I was so happy for him. I told him, you know, he deserved it. You know, I know it was a slow start for him for the season, but you know, that comes with it. You know, some games you'll be hot, some games you won't, but it's just the ebbs and flows of the season.
But do you want one of those games for yourself?
Most definitely. Yeah, it's coming.
Why is it coming? Why do you feel that way?
I just know it is, speaking into existence.
How about this out at the Miller Lighthouse? Uncle Drew Pearson getting everybody fired up with Rowdy, the cheerleaders. Presented by 7-Eleven at the Miller Lighthouse, a free Cowboys watch party as we get set for a 3:25 kickoff. The Cowboys and the Eagles from Lincoln Financial Field. We are here from the Star in Frisco, right beside the Cowboys practice field, just behind us with Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. And, of course, there's a lot to go over with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has not been the playmaker that he has been in years past. But how can you channel that home run ability from Pollard?
It comes down to play calling. I mean, you've got to have consistency and you got to have play calling. The difference is most people are looking at Tony Pollard and saying, well, man, they franchise tagged him. Why is he not performing the way he was before? Well, he was the number 2 in a 1-2 combo over his entire career. And now he's the number 1 guy. And they're kind of aborting the run, right? So now all of a sudden, when you're the downhill guy and you're not the big play guy, not the change of pace guy, your responsibilities have changed. And when your responsibilities change, guess what? The expectations have now changed because now they're not expecting you to be the big splash guy anymore because they're not getting the ball on the outside. Those runs that Ezekiel Elliott was getting that was taking down the defense, right? The battering ram that you guys heard Nate talking about last year. And then you came in as the change up, go outside. You're not getting those carries anymore. You're now the downhill guy that has to go in between the tackles, and you're going to get beat up a little bit more, less opportunities.
But there's no need for him to be that guy. He can still be the outside guy. He can still be that guy we get screens to, or we can swing passes out of backfield. We got Rico Dowdle. Tony's averaging like 19 carries or 19 touches per game, 85-something yards a game. That still should be who he is. Don't let the money change you. You as coaches and scouts know who this guy is. Don't take him past 22 touches, but give him the right 22 touches. And put this guy Rico Dowdle into the game and give him the other 12 touches. You still got the battering ram, and Tony is still the same guy. Y'all just need to be the same people.
So put him in position to get it done. That's one of the challenges for this team. And they're going up against an Eagles team that does not give up a whole lot of yards per pop on the ground. 65 yards per game allowed rushing from Philadelphia. They've been very good on the interior. Speaking of very good, how about perfect? Brandon Aubrey has been perfect for the Dallas Cowboys in his rookie season. 18 for 18 in his field goal attempts. He had a 58-yarder in the most recent matchup against the Rams, but also today in pregame, according to Nick Harris, who we heard from earlier at Nick and Night, he said he was hitting 58-yarders against the wind in the open-air stadium of Philadelphia. He's not only showing off the accuracy, Isaiah, but he's also showing off a bit of a leg.
He must have been listening to some Bootsy Collins because he's really ready to boot this thing. Listen up, kudos to the entire front office because that was one of the main concerns I know that I had. I know Big Nate Newton had as well going into this season. Matter of fact, during the kicking challenge in the training camp, we almost got hit in the head in the live broadcast by some of the kickers that they were trying out. Right? But now Brandon Aubrey has come in, he's settled in, he's become that consistent guy. And a lot of people try to play kickers to the left. You cannot play him to the left. Leave that Beyonce alone. We're going to take Brandon Aubrey. We need you. And the reason why is because when you can cross a certain portion of the field as an offense and you know as an offensive coordinator that I'm going to pretty much get guaranteed points, it changes up how you call ball games. You're no longer taking unnecessary risks. You're no longer putting yourself in bad situations. You're going to play the nice, safe game, and you can go out there, cross the 35-yard line, get your 3 points, or you take your shots and get your 7. Either way, you walk away with some points.
You know, he's a kicker, man. Brandon Aubrey's a kicker, all right? Do your job, brother. And I know everybody's excited. I know everybody's hyped about you. I love you to death, Brandon Aubrey. I know your name. But give us the winning field goal, and I love you even more. And I'll be as more excited than Kyle. I'll be more excited than Isaiah. I'm just being honest.
Listen up. This is a big. Listen up. Nate Dogg is offensive lineman, okay? And offensive linemen, all they want to do is work down the field and get touchdowns. Understanding that, right? From the former quarterback, okay? You have to get to a certain point where you're walking away with points. We know you want to get the touchdowns, Big Nate Dogg. But guess what? When you have to settle for 3, at least you know that you have 3 in the bag.
And
right?
I'm with that.
All right.
I am with that, and I will be excited next week when we win this thing by 1 point with his field goal.
What position he play?
He's a what? He's a kicker.
He's a kicker.
He's nothing more, nothing less. He's a kicker. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Brandon, keep doing your thing. Don't listen to Nate Newton.
Break the record today.
Break the record.
Yeah,
one more kick, and he does break the NFL record for most consecutive field goal makes to begin an NFL career. He's tied with Travis Coons at the moment. He has a chance to surpass that with just one more make before a miss, of course. He can't miss one. He's got to make it. 19 of 19 would give him that mark. Really a great season for Brandon Aubrey. It's a long way, like you said, from dodging footballs live on the air at training camp. I mean, you should have seen the moves Nate had to get out of the way of a couple of them. Let's go back out to Lincoln Financial Field, and one of the guys that helped find Brandon Aubrey, Stephen Jones, is now with our very own Nick Eatman.
Thank you, Kyle, and we are joined by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, and he's all excited about the Arkansas win yesterday, as am I. Seeing if we can carry this on this game. Cowboys and Eagles, obviously a big one We say it all the time how important they all are, but when we talk about divisional games and how the Eagles, where they stand right now, this has got to be huge.
Well, no question. I mean, anytime you play an NFC East rival, you know it's going to be a big game, regardless of record. But now we got two of the teams with some of the better records in the NFL right now, and certainly they're the defending NFC East champs and represented the NFC in the Super Bowl. They're a great football team, and they're playing well this year, and we've got to step up. But I like our week. I like the way the players went about their business, and I feel good about coming in here and playing this game.
This one feels a little different than the 49er game as far as the build-up, even though it seems to be even just as big because, like you said, divisional game. Do you think the mindset is a little different going into this game than maybe, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, I just think at the end of the day, you learn from what you did last, and obviously that was a big game against the 49ers. No one was overlooking anything. We just didn't get the job done. So I think between the coaching staff and the players, they look at what they did and what they can do different to be better. And I fully expect that to happen today. I think everybody will be playing at the top of their game. We all understand what it means when you play the Eagles up here. You're going to have a rowdy crowd, and I just feel like we'll come out and play the type of football we know we can play.
From a game plan standpoint, I mean, obviously they're tough to run on, and running hasn't been the best thing this offense has done. Do you see them, hey, you got to keep trying, or do you think spread it out a little bit on the outside?
Well, I think what Mike did last week was great. I mean, he came out and obviously threw the ball early and often and quite a bit. And, sometimes, when you start looking at your tendencies and know how convicted we are to run the ball, which will continue to be the case, I think throwing the ball and loosening them up is going to do us some good. And then as that goes, then you have the opportunity to get back in there. I know we did that in the 90s. With Norv Turner, how he'd loosen it up early, throwing it, and then come back in with Emmett and do a great job running the football. So I feel good about our opportunities to run the ball. We've got good backs. Obviously starts with Tony Pollard, but Rico's been doing a great job as well. So we've got a good group there.
You like seeing 77 there on the left side?
I think that makes everybody happy when they see 77 in there. He's ready to go today. It'll be our original starting 5 offensive linemen that we were counting on all year, and Chuma's going to be ready as well. So if need be, but we've got a good group there and feel good.
2-part question. Number 1, how do you stop the tush push? And number 2, can we rename it?
Well, I'm not going to get into the names. I'll stay away from that. But it's a challenge. I mean, they started the tush push, if you will, and they've become really good at it. And other teams, obviously, are because it can be very effective, have worked on getting good at it. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of teams in the league figuring out how to defend it as well. And we feel like we've got as good a chance as anybody to do that. And we'll chance here today at some point.
This is why you drafted Mozzie Smith and re-signed Hankins for to get there. And that's where it starts, obviously, right there in the middle.
No question.
All right.
Thank you very much, Nick. Had some technical difficulties on the end. You know who did not have any difficulties, especially on the road? The Texas Rangers. 11-0 on the road. They clinched their first ever World Series championship in Game 5 at Chase Field in Arizona. Congratulations from the Dallas Cowboys to the Texas Rangers, 2023 World Series champions. I grew up a Cowboys fan. I also grew up a Rangers fan, so I'm super excited about it. Of course, attended the parade. The parade was fantastic. But before we got out of here, I wanted to give some props to the world champions. And with that being said, I will relate it back to our Dallas Cowboys. Okay. What can the Cowboys learn from a team like the Rangers with some resilience all the way through and a championship run like they just went through? How can the Cowboys take something from it?
Adversity. When something bad happens, don't worry about it. Just go to the next play. And this is what they did. And win on the road. That's what they did. That's what you can learn from these Rangers. No matter where you're at, what you're doing, you huddle together. And you win on the road. Fight for the verse. Yeah, I mean, y'all didn't come with me, y'all. That's all right. That's all right. Y'all solo. Y'all mad at me about the kicker.
No.
It's all about the kicker. It's all about the kicker. I know.
We're just Brandon Aubrey stands. I mean, he's perfect.
It's all about when you get hot. You know, you just talked about, overcoming adversity. That is very true. And you have to be able to keep your team tight, okay? Keep it tight, huddle, but also when you get hot is when it matters most, okay? And Dallas Cowboys, you need to take care of this game today because mentally you need to know that you can overcome the Philadelphia Eagles because the last portion of your season is no jokey, and you need to ensure that you have the leverage and that you have the confidence you need to make that big push so that you hit the momentum the right way.
And every season has its ups and downs. The Rangers certainly had their ups and they had their downs as well. There were points of the season where it looked like all hope was lost, but there were also moments in the regular season where Texas took care of business against some of the top competition in Major League Baseball. One of the times they swept Philadelphia and the Phillies in the opening week of the regular season, opening night. I don't know where you're going. What are you going?
Y'all didn't want to huddle up with me.
Well, now you're walking away. But just to let it be known, this is another benchmark for this Cowboys team to go up against Philadelphia and put together a performance better than their first benchmark against the 49ers. What's your key to getting a win here in this one?
My key, I'm honestly going straight to the middle, and I think that you have to control this line of scrimmage, and I'm talking about from the offensive stance of the Dallas Cowboys. If Tyler Biadasz cannot handle Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, if him and the rest of his comrades, Tyler Smith, right, Zach Martin, those guys can't move the line of scrimmage backwards, it's going to be a long day. But if they can, and hopefully Philadelphia comes out in this 4-3 front, right, they can get their combo blocks and move these guys backwards, and you can initiate a running game, you can control the clock, and ultimately you can win the ball game.
Barry Church, I'm riding with you, man. If we can't defensively, Jonathan Hanks, Osa, Young Mazda, if y'all can't control the middle of their offense, that's where Swift is going to have a super day, and that's going to hurt us. So both offensively and defense, we got to control the center guard situation.
And I'm here for the turnovers. I'm here for the takeaways. Give me all the takeaways. Force Jalen Hurts into some mistakes. That's my key to the game. If that happens, I think giving extra opportunities for your offense to put points on the board will go a long way. So that's my key. Man, this is going to be a fun one. 3:25 kickoff. Cowboys, Eagles on Fox from Lincoln Financial Field. Of course, we'll be back after the game to break it all down for you for the first word, Cowboys OT, and Cowboys game night for our entire Dallas Cowboys crew. For Nicole Hutchison, Nick Eatman, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the Star in Frisco. Let's go, Cowboys. Get it done on the road.
Brandon, we love you.